You there, Joey? Are you there? Are you there?
I mean, we're not live yet.
Yes, we are live.
Not according to my thing.
Well, I'm sorry, but I'm actually looking at
Oh,
it.
yeah. It says we're live.
I'm looking at it.
All right. Well,
I'm live, baby.
oh, yeah. There's a bass. Who catches bass anymore?
I gotta get a picture. Too many things. Too many things. Okay. I think we're up. Tell me when you're ready.
Ready.
Hey, everybody. I'm Brian.
I'm Joey.
Welcome to the Maryland Fishing Line, episode 22. Today is Tuesday, October 20th, 2020. It's a podcast where we talk about fishing throughout the great state of Maryland. The Maryland Fishing Line is a production of the Angler Magazine Chesapeake Edition. Joey, we have got a jam-packed show tonight.
Do we?
Yes, we do. We're
I
obviously
don't think
going to...
anything happened.
Oh, no. We're going to do the fishing report. You have got a crap ton to talk about. I know that.
Yeah.
We got some listener questions about kayak choices, which I think we are well qualified and well versed to answer.
I'm not.
Yes, you are. The Striped Bass Young of the Year Index was released, and we're going to talk about that and how it relates to some recent menhaden news.
Oh, man. I could get into like 6 hours about conservation and ASMFC.
Well, we're going to talk about it. But did you hear how I pronounced it correctly? Menhaden.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. Remember a couple of weeks ago I said Manhattan. Hayden.
Oh, yeah.
Hayden.
You know, I actually went to a protest.
Did you really?
Menhaden.
Menhaden. Did you protest a little Menhaden?
Yeah. We were actually fighting for Menhaden. And,
Down with oily fish.
With
Down.
It was kind of weird because it's like when you say protest, and I guess I should wait, but like you have a bunch of hardcore redneck fishermen. You're
protesting.
Like not like we're in one of the ASMFC meetings, and Omega was there.
Well, we're going to talk about that.
Oh man,
I
get fired up about that.
You're getting ready to get fired up on this episode because I got a whole litany. Like I said, of course, we're going to talk about our own weekly fishing adventures, and I put a lot of thought into this week's this or that's, Joey, and they're good.
I'm not going to look ahead because I
don't look ahead. Before we get to this week's report, though, we have to thank our sponsors. Joey, check out see if there's anybody showed up in the live stream yet.
Oh yeah, Sean did. Charles. D. Pesca.
Cool. I got 6 hours. Let's do it. Nice. So before we get into this week's fishing report, though, I do have to thank our sponsors. Let's do a little bit of business. Waterfront Marine in Edgewater, Maryland, dealing in Robalo fishing boats, Chaparral pleasure boats, and Bennington pontoon boats. You can find out more about them in their website at waterfrontmarine.com. JMJ Firearms over in Mechanicsville, Maryland. Modern Air HVAC in Mechanicsville, Maryland. Robin Caballaro at Remax One, superb real estate agent. Stoney's Kingfishers in Solomons, Maryland. Scotts Cove Marina in Deal Island, Maryland. Huntingtown Automotive in Huntingtown, Maryland. Eat Chesapeake in Dunkirk, Rosehaven, and Bowie, otherwise known as the Chesapeake Grill. You are going to find links to all of these fine establishments in the show notes or in the show descriptions. Make sure to let them know that you heard about them here. You ready to dive in?
I am. I was making a social media post.
But before we do that, what are you drinking tonight?
I have a whiskey sour.
So you started with something else.
I started with the Modelo's earlier.
Last podcast, you jumped up. You jumped up and were like tinkling and
yeah, but I was talking to Ted. I feel bad because I'm using Woodford as my it is not something I should be mixing.
No,
it's too nice to.
No.
It is just freaking delicious.
It is very good. I started the night earlier with a Sam Adams Oktoberfest, which you have turned me on to, Joey. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
and now I am having a Dogfish Ed Sea Quench Ale Session Sour. It is blissfully brewed with lime juice, lime peel, black limes, and sea salt. I don't know what a black lime is.
It's a green lime that
but
goes
it's
bad.
Gone bad? Okay, yeah. Okay,
because the only time I've seen a black lime is when I leave it on top of the fridge.
It rolls to the back and you forget about it. You know
yeah.
Okay. Let's take a look, Joey, what's going on around the state. In my opinion, Joey, one of the best times of the year to fish right now. Right now.
Yeah, except if you talk for my boss, Dave.
Except that time is running out quickly. It's like a scramble. Fall is like a scramble.
It's cold. I got my
Not today, it wasn't.
I got my muck boots in my truck now because I went out yesterday morning. I thought I was going to get hypothermia. It's like, I should probably stop going barefoot.
It was cold yesterday morning.
Yeah.
But, time is running out. We're up against that clock. We're getting shorter daylight hours. But we've got everything going on in the state from trout stockings to striped bass.
Trout stockings?
Trout stockings. Trout stockings and to striped bass in the bay. Joey, what's going on with stripers?
Man, they are everywhere you can throw a topwater plug at. Stripers are moving up the Susquehanna Flats in early mornings, late afternoon. Topwater bite is working, and it is working well.
Mm-hmm.
Light tackle jigging and trolling are both great techniques right now, but nothing's better than topwater. If you are jigging, try 1/2 to 3/4 ounce metal jig heads on channel edges, and then those trawlers are using umbrella rigs, tandem rig, bucktails, spoons, diving crankbaits, and hoses.
And us kayak trollers are just using little 4-inch paddle tails. It's slaying up. I have so much fun. Today I did break ranks a little bit though.
Did you?
I'll talk about that. I threw a little topwater today, and you're gonna mock me. Bluefish. There are still some chunky bluefish in the lower bay near the target ship and middle grounds and along the shipping channel edges.
I saw. I should wait. We were fishing for false albacore this weekend, and these dudes were getting pissed. They were catching bluefish to the point where they were just chucking them like grenades.
Catching them and throwing them.
I was like, do you guys see what they're doing to those fish? I mean, they suck, but they're full on like launching them. Like,
How big were they though?
like 12, 15 inches.
Okay.
It's like, holy cow, guys.
It's better than having to deal with handling them.
Oh, they handled them. Sorry.
That's okay. Sidebars are welcome.
Redfish. Sorry, I just interrupted.
No,
Redfish
I'm
puppy
done.
drum are still being caught in the western shore of the lower Potomac and Patuxent, but they are going to start. I know that I just learned that they're going to start moving deeper and in schools, so you might actually catch a lot of them if you can figure it out. And in the middle bay, there's still some of the larger redfish out there. Look for them when their schools are breaking fish in the main stem of the bay.
So in the Tangier Sound area, fishing for speckled trout remains good. That's interesting to hear. Grassy shallows, prominent points, stump fields, and creek mouths are great places to fish. Paddle tails are a popular bait, while drifting soft crabs on a falling tide in the creeks is also a great option. That sounded very poetic. It sounded kind of lovely.
Yeah.
Drifting soft crabs on a falling tide.
I don't know if I'm going to drift. I'm going to fry that thing up before I drift it for a trout. Spot, most areas with a hard bottom in the lower Patuxent, Potomac, and Tangier Sound are holding concentrations of spot. White perch are moving to the deeper water in earnest. Yeah, sorry. Bloodworms and 25 feet of water on a hard bottom will still catch fish.
I have not seen any white perch in the creek in a while. Are you still catching
I'm
white perch down here?
I'm not targeting
True.
puppy drum.
Yeah.
I feel like once I did that, I could catch all the perch.
I heard of, in my creek, a couple of puppy drum caught on, I guess it would have been Sunday, because Chris bought the Slayer, the Slayer Max.
Titan Slayer would be cool.
No, the Slayer Max. I always get that confused from Native. I can't keep their lineup straight.
They all can't be Hobies.
But he brought the Slayer.
Yep.
And so he was out early Sunday morning, and he said that somebody he was with, I can't remember who he said, but he said he picked up a couple of puppy drum in the creek.
I'm sure if we went back targeting them, we could probably catch some more.
Yeah, I probably see them on the sonar when I'm looking for, because rockfish have that distinct arch. There's no doubt about them, but I see a lot of globs and glumps and things hanging out at certain places on some points, and I'll bet you that's what's down there. Fall trout stocking program is underway with several major trout stockings in a variety of put-and-take areas. If that interests you, see what has been stocked on the DNR website. And I know they did just stock Calvert Cliffs, because I saw Eric went out and picked up a few.
Yep, that's where you take out your garlic corn.
Yep.
We should have done that the other day.
Actually, what we need to do one night is actually serve a bowl of garlic corn. I could catch me a Joey.
I'd eat it all. The old largemouth, they are feeding aggressively at grass beds, lily pads, spatterdock, and such is steadily declining. What remains is magnet for largemouth bass as bait attempts to find cover in ever-decreasing habitat. Bass are cruising the outside edges of these areas looking for an easy meal in the form of baitfish or crayfish. Spinnerbaits, small crankbaits, soft plastics are good baits to work these edges with. And the tidal areas, bait fish in the form of small gizzard shad are moving into the creeks looking for cover and are attracting the attention of largemouth bass. Spinnerbaits are an excellent choice when working the mouths of feeder creeks under these conditions.
Snakehead are losing cover just like the bass, and they are feeding eagerly, building those winter shoulders. Top water bite pretty much over, so focus on subsurface baits like white and yellow paddle tails. I think largemouth and snakehead, I think that's sort of the same thing we talked about last week. I think it's going to change on that real quick.
The old catfish cooler tips of the water are waking up the kiddies. Fresh cut bait, clam snouts, neck crawlers, and chicken livers make good bait.
Anything stinky. Recreational crabbing is slowing down as water temperatures become chillier and crabs migrate to deeper waters. Trout lining has been tough as the crabs are often found in about 20 feet of water. That has not been my experience, though. I'm still catching crabs.
Still
catching crabs. I had
say I'd grab some this Sunday if you're going on a bike ride.
50 or so. I think we'll probably do them, but I'm not fishing as aggressively for crabs this week because I think it's going to kind of slow down.
Yeah.
So I actually pulled the pots and gave them a pressure wash, but I did put them back in. I did rebait them. Anybody showed up in the live stream?
Oh, yeah. So Sean, Charles, David Hall said, I don't own a kayak, but I love your show and fishing report. I'm having a Corona.
Nice. Thank you, David.
Cheers. I don't know if I said on this one with the Modelo's, I went to buy Pacifico on the last podcast, and there is a shortage of beer in the Mexican world. Shortage of Mexican beer right now. They're not making a lot of beer. Corona, I couldn't find at one liquor store the other day. Modelo's is always a good go-to, but I'm a Pacifico guy.
Yeah.
The Modelo's is actually pretty good. And I was saying, if people haven't tried it, I did Modelo's, and we did it on the brim of a glass. Mm-hmm. And then if you just take the can, have you done it with a can? Mm-mm. You fill it up with lime juice, and then sprinkle a little Old Bay on it and crack it.
Okay, so walk me through that again.
So actually, lime juice and salt would probably be good on that. Lime juice and salt dogfish head.
Do you do the whole rim?
I filled up the whole rim with lemon juice.
Okay.
Lime juice, sorry. I like limes. And then I took a little Old Bay, because too much Old Bay just turns horrible.
Splash that on top. And this is when the can
you just take a... Yeah,
you haven't opened it yet.
Haven't opened it up. And my mistake is taking the Westchester's. He's an hour late. Sprinkle the Old Bay. Don't use the side where you can dump it, and then crack it.
Okay, so then it actually that kind of goes in, or
goes in a little bit, and you get someone
you sip it off the top. That actually sounds really
or
good.
Or you could do the rim of the glass in lime juice, and then dip it in Old Bay, and then pour your beer in. But the can's easy. Less clean up.
I'm gonna try that.
It's good. Modelo's works really well with it.
Did you do fresh lime juice, or did you do like the little?
I had just a bottle.
The little squeeze.
Fresh. Thing? So if you want to do it on the rim of the glass, a fresh lime works better.
Okay.
Because you could take it and then slice it and then ring it around.
Okay.
Otherwise, what I do at home is I take a paper plate and I fill it up with lime juice, and I take a paper plate with Old Bay. And that's how I do it on a pint glass.
That sounds really good.
So you turn it upside down. You can also do that with a peanut butter stout with some peanut butter. Or it's actually really good if you do it once. Or you crush up some Oreos and then take some Hershey syrup when you're doing like a chocolate stout.
Oh, I could get with the Hershey syrup then. I could get behind that.
The crushed Oreos.
Can we try that?
You got to try it just once.
Can we try?
I'll do it next week.
I don't want to try it with the stouts. I want to try the lime juice and the Old Bay, because that just
we'll get some more Modelo's.
Wonderful. That sounds really good.
I actually was supposed to bring some home, and we got a 12-pack, but we drank it all in like one night.
Good on you. Charles said, saw you had fun talking to you, Joey. Saw you had fun down in my stomping grounds, Joey. Not really. I'm born and raised at the shore, but consider coastal Carolina my second home. Swansboro, Topsail, Wilmington, Jacksonville. Love it.
That's probably from the Marines.
I really enjoyed. We went down because Croatan Buck 50 was supposed to be in Swansboro in the spring, and we went down to Swansboro and spent a weekend and rode in the woods out there, and rode some of those roads that CBF was supposed to be on. That dips over into the bike world, but all the same thing. What a wonderful, fantastic place to live.
Oh man,
I could get behind that.
I love being down there.
I could really get behind Swansboro as a place to live.
Yeah.
Wonder what you do for a living. I don't do anything here, so all I do is talk into a can.
And a can.
We got Darren in the house. Darren Rhino Fishing TV says, "Hey guys, good to see you, Darren. Haven't seen you in a couple weeks on here. Good.
I went on that really big beer tent. Right? We're
That's okay.
fishermen. We like beer.
Yeah, it's all
We're
about beer.
Marylanders. We like Old Bay.
That was a beautiful, beautiful segment right there.
You like it?
Yes,
I should have done
did.
that on the bike one.
I loved that a lot.
I don't feel like the bike people would appreciate it as much as not an IPA.
No.
The IPA.
No, I don't think they would either.
No.
I don't think they would, because you could do that with a. You could actually.
You haven't heard of that though?
You could pull that little gig just with a Coors Light.
You could. I mean, yeah.
Oh yeah,
It'd probably
yeah.
be good with a Coors Light.
Yeah.
Coors Light's my go-to crappy beer,
Yeah, absolutely. It's everybody's.
Yeah.
It's like, it's basically water if you need to hydrate.
but it's good.
So we got a question
PBR too.
from a listener. This is long. I'm going to actually dive into this.
Oh yeah, Charles said he's gonna.
He says, "Hey Brian, fan of the podcast. I got a question for you and Joey. I have been seriously looking into pedal kayaks, which we're well experienced with, and I was wondering if you guys could talk about the advantages, disadvantages between Old Town Topwater 106 PDL, which is very close to my 120,
Yep.
the Natives Propel Slayer 10, and the New Canoe F10. Looking for a fishing kayak that is around 10.5 to 10 feet to fit in my Suburban and can handle fishing for blue catfish in the Patuxent and snakeheads in Blackwater. I also do striped bass fishing and will definitely try new places and methods when I get a nicer kayak. I currently have 2 Sun Dolphins, Aruba 10S, and definitely need an upgrade. Want to avoid buying roof racks until I get a new car. I have a 15-year-old Suburban and don't know how long it's got. Any advice will be appreciated. This kayak fishing market is so hard to navigate truth and figure out. I literally made a spreadsheet.
Oh man.
I work for Maryland DNR and appreciate the long podcast for driving long distances around the state. And he said, thanks. And you know what? I didn't put in the show notes who that was from. Doggone it. I'm usually really good at that, Joey, but I didn't. I'll look it up while you're talking about the Slayer. We got a picture here. He sent me a screen capture of the spreadsheet, and I told him when we did a little back and forth exchange, and I said, I'm the nerd, other podcast in the bike world. I did the whole Croatan Buck 50, like how fast to go and the time and spreadsheets, and then Ted chimed in and he'd done a whole bunch of spreadsheets as well, and I told him, I said, don't be surprised when Joey shakes his head about the spreadsheet world. I'm going to look that up.
I'm a simple man, that's all.
Gonna look that up really quick. So let's just dive into this, Joey. So we got 3 boats that he asked us to look at, but there's on his spreadsheet he included a couple others. He included the Mirage Passport 10.5, which I don't think that's not a fishing boat. That's the Hobie Mirage. I looked it up. It's more of like a pedal leisure boat.
Oh.
I would
pedal
say
boat, though, right?
It's a pedal boat. It's a Mirage Drive.
Yeah,
but it's not. It doesn't appear to be.
wow.
I'm sure you could probably use it as that. But he put the Topwater 106 PDL, which my boat is a Topwater 120 PDL. He put the Slayer Propel 10 and the New Canoe Frontier 10 and the Native Titan Propel 10.5 were the 5 boats that he indicated would actually fit in his Suburban. So I think those were his focus. So
I know which one.
I think right off. I know, me too. I think right off the top we can eliminate the Mirage Passport 10.5.
Yeah.
Out the window. Not a fishing boat. I want to jump real quick before we get into the boats that we know.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about that New Canoe Frontier 10.
I got my answer for that.
So I looked it up because I'm not familiar with the boat, but I went onto their website today. I spent about an hour wrapping that rabbit hole. And, it looks like they've taken a hull and then they've tried to figure out how to make that hull work for paddle, pedal, or motor, which, in anything that you do in the world, when you try to do everything, I think it fails. I was not a fan of the way their pedal drive installed, and then it actually had this cable system that ran on the top of the deck back to the back. I can see where a lot of thought went into it and what they were after, but to me, in my opinion, it just looked like FUBAR.
I think the 2 best rudder systems are, no offense, is Native and Hobie. Hobie wins that by far, only because Hobie has a block system like Jerry has. That's my biggest complaint about my rudder. I don't like the New Canoe cable. I don't like the rudders up top either.
Yep. That for me was like a slam dunk no brainer to just make that go away. Those cables running across the top deck of the boat. So We've eliminated the Mirage Passport, the Hobie Mirage Passport. We've eliminated and this is just our opinion. This is just us. This is just what you ask us to take a look at them from the outside looking in. Obviously, neither one of us have. And do you have any experience in the Hobie Mirage drives, especially on that Passport? I don't.
I have I don't have super duper knowledge, but I got enough being in the industry
to see. Yeah.
Just a lot of good stuff to say about Hobie as much as I trash them. I don't like how much stuff goes on with Hobie either, exposed-wise.
Yeah.
There's a lot that could go, not that it does frequently, but man, I'm always waiting for something to happen on someone's.
Yeah.
Just so much going on.
So I have the Old Town Topwater 120 PDL, and you have been in, not the Slayer Propel 10, although you're experienced with that boat because you sell it, but you've been in the Slayer Max.
Yep. And
then you also sell the Titan Propel drive from Native as well. Let me dive. How do you think? Because in my opinion, looking at the Slayer Propel 10 is sort of by itself, and I'm looking at the Topwater and the Titan as probably being the two in this mix that are the most similar.
Yeah, I'm going to give two different answers based on two different.
Okay. Do you want to approach Titan first, Native first, and then or do you want me to do the Old Town and then you come back?
You can go first.
Okay. So the good and the bad. So obviously I'm in a 120 PDL, so it's just a little bit longer, but I think everything is pretty much the same on that boat. There's a couple of things and a few things that I really love about that boat. I love the drive system. It is super smooth. It is super easy to maintain. I love the way they do their hatches. That front hatch doesn't get any water in it. I really love the way that seals up incredibly well. One of the differences you're going to find between the Topwater and the Titan is the Topwater is a little bit narrower at, I think, 34 inches. But with the double hull on the Topwater, I don't have any problem standing up in that boat. And I'm a big guy. It took me a little while to kind of get my center of gravity and to get the feel of that. But once I was able to stand in that boat, I have no problem standing in that boat. Some of the downsides, the seat leaves a little bit to be desired in the older versions of the Topwater. But from what I understand, the newer 2020s actually have an updated, improved seat. My seat on my Topwater is basically coming apart.
You have a lot of days on it.
I've got a lot of time on that boat.
But it should last.
So at some point in the future, I know I'll be doing a $130 upgrade to the Predator seat, which will be a whole lot nicer. I'll probably wait until spring to do that. They put a lot of thought into some things like where you can put, there's gear track on it, ways that you can lay the rods down. There's some indents that allow you to lay rods down to the front of the boat. Other things, that the seat is very adjustable. You can move it forward, backwards. The rear well is plenty big enough, but we're going to get to the rear of the boat. A couple of things that I think they kind of botched at the rear of the boat, which I think they fixed in the 2020. So I'm riding the 2019. There is only one grab handle, and it's on the side of the boat, and you have to use another handle that's actually built into the rudder, which I'm not crazy about lifting the weight of that boat because it's a heavy boat. It's a 100-pound boat, basically. Lifting that boat from the rudder system. And the other thing you were just talking about with the Natives and with the Hobies is my boat's a pig. It doesn't want to turn. I always have to pull the paddle off of the holder and to really get the boat to turn. It's not quite as fast as your Native, that Slayer Max. I don't know how it's going to stack up against a Titan, and I know it was definitely not as fast. But we're talking about very minor differences, maybe a half mile an hour. You and Jerry always would be able to
just cruise,
stay ahead of me, and I was working a lot harder to stay with you.
We were working really hard. We just didn't show up. We didn't want to be by you.
Okay, you guys just got it.
Yeah, we just
so
lower our heart rates.
The way that rudder flips versus actually having that rudder, it really clutters up the back of the boat. And with a lot of the fishing that I've been doing lately, which is, trolling those little paddle tails for the stripers, it happens to me probably 2 or 3 times every day where I'll get a fish on and that boat will spin. I'll be fighting the fish and the other line will go slack. And I try to control that by positioning the boat to keep that line off of the boat.
Yep.
But that line will swing around and wrap up in that rudder on the back of the boat. And then it is a mess to undo. Today, I think I had to just cut a line and pull it through and then had to retrieve the bunched up stuff later after I was done. So strengths, though, that boat is solid. I mean solid. The whole material is thick. And I had no problems putting my Boondocks landing gear on that boat. Holds just fine. I can see a little bit of flex in the material on some hot days when it's carrying the weight, but I'm real careful with it. And I know that hull is extremely durable when I know that there have been problems with some of the others. I feel like I've had that boat for about a year now, and I've put so many hours on that boat. It is a disaster if you look at it because it's filthy.
Nasty.
That's because I fish every day. I fish in that boat almost every day. I probably fish 5 days a week out of that boat. And I have put it through its paces, and nothing has broken. Nothing has broken. I have dropped one of the pins for the rudder or for the propeller.
Yep.
But I haven't lost a propeller yet. I've got new pins and I've got replacement rudders replacement props standing by because I know that's something that a lot of people have happen with those boats as well. But I would say it is an incredibly solid platform to fish from.
Mm-hmm.
So I would give it like a solid B. There's some things about the layout of the boat. When you start talking about that Titan and the layout of that boat and the width, I know there's some things that when I look at your boat and even when I look at that 10.5, there's some things I am seriously jealous of. So why don't you go ahead and dive in on the Titans? I'm going to check the live stream.
Well, I'll say live stream wise, let's see how far back. Russell, real quick, said the Susquehanna is crazy low and very clear as well. Has this been impacting the bay? ? Also, would you recommend throwing in the topwater, freshwater tributaries and tons of jumping shad? I'll have to get back to that one.
Let's keep on the kayak thread.
Charles said, I believe the Outback and PA are the only ones that are considered fishing specific, which is true. And Charles said he'd pick native for the sole fact that they have been in the pedal game longer, so they've had more time to perfect the drive, which I think is true. I mean, Hobie's been in the longest. Native is right there, right behind them, and then everyone else tries to trickle in, or starting to trickle in. The Slayer 10 and the Titan are two totally different boats. If you're a one-man band, load it in the car.
In the car.
Maybe you're not going to put wheels or anything on it. The Slayer is the way to go. It's like 60 pounds dry. I don't know if he has the weights and everything on there.
Yeah, he does. The spreadsheet's got everything in there, but it's hard to see at that screen capture.
Versus the Titan 10 is a ridiculous amount heavier.
It weighs almost the same as my topwater, 120.
Yes, it's almost, what is it? 120. It's almost 100 pounds dry. That's pretty big when you're by yourself moving it. Unless you have Boondocks and you're going to invest another $200, $300, or whatever wheel system you use.
So
it's going to make a huge difference on that side for people.
When he actually, he said it fits in the car. So
well,
he's got
Suburban's
a Suburban.
Big, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're not having to do the Boondocks, the T-bone, or anything like that to hang it off the back of the car.
Not to hang it out, but to move it from the back of the car, unless you're backing into the water.
Yeah, but you would definitely need a water a cart system, and I think he actually in his spreadsheet included cart prices as well.
Okay, I do know, like Eric loads his in a Jeep and went with a Slayer versus the Titan for a lot of reasons like that.
Because of the maneuverability,
loading it in and out, even though you have the wheels, it's heavy.
Yeah.
That being said, those are two totally different boats. I haven't actually been in my Titan yet. It's still in the back of my truck.
I know.
You saw that?
Yes, I did.
That's a long story I'm going to talk about later.
You'll get there.
But, man, like my dad actually approached me the other night about his next kayak will be a Propel when we'll order it over the winter and get it for springtime. and I feel like, man, the Titan has so much to offer. It is like $500 more.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice boat. It is extremely. The Slayer is stable, but the Titan itself, the whole Titan series, they're tanks.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many good things out about the Titan 10 that everyone's using, and it kind of overshadows the 12 and the 13.5, or kind of shadows it because it does so well. It's so much boat for 10.5 feet.
Mm-hmm.
The capacity is ridiculous. The amount of storage, you just get everything in that package, and it's not huge.
I mean, because I'm looking at your Titan. When I looked at the one today, the
Even my bass
10.5.
boat, that thing is huge.
I know, but even when I was looking at the 10.5,
Yeah.
I just something little like having that little extra space on the side of the seats that
it's
goes down into
ridiculous,
the boat. That's so nice.
And
then the integrated storage systems under the seat,
yeah,
and the ability to have track running all the way down the boat.
Native does so good with the tracks everywhere.
Yeah.
The Slayer actually has the best, but I'm only gonna add one more piece of track from Yak Attack on mine.
But what is that needed for though?
A GoPro.
Yeah, see that's
Gonna
what's-
go right in front. Like, not a big deal.
I know when I was putting my boondocks, when I put my landing gear on the
Yeah.
boat, like I said earlier, it went on fine. The whole material is very thick. It's
Yeah.
accommodating. I took the extra steps to put extra backing in. But how long did it take you to put your landing gear on your
Like 10 minutes versus hours.
kills me. Jerry
It
and I
went-
spent an entire day
Oh,
in
yeah.
the barn.
It went right in the tracks. And it is super strong.
That fly likes you.
I hate the
What are you,
flies.
Mike Pence?
Yeah. What was I going to say? The thing I love the most, and this is a huge breaker for me, and this is one thing I'm going to talk to my dad about, and there's a bunch of things, but I love the whole open tank well of the Titans and the Slayers that you just
Yep.
you lose. There's so much space taken up by having all that structure.
Yep.
On the Slayer, on the Topwater, on like the Mirage, like all these boats that the Pro Angler has and the Titans have. I think that's extremely valuable for a lot of reasons.
Absolutely.
You just don't get it on the Slayer 10.
Now, do you think any of that contributed to any structural issues with the hull? Because I know you've been through that. a
No,
little bit.
and they have structure inside, and the Titans themselves are foam injected, like
Yeah.
they're solid. Where the seat box, it's a seat box itself that's on the track, and this allows you to elevate different points. And you can have storage. You can put a junk drawer down there. There's so much stuff.
Mhm.
I love having the open concept of that. So I did take off my my dry hatch in the middle, and they have structure built around that, but I don't think it takes away any structure. And then anything I quote unquote lost gets added back when my boondocks is back there.
Yeah.
Just to strengthen that middle section. But those boats have been so solid. They have like zero issues on those.
Well,
They've been out for a while.
I looked at that 10.5 today, and I'm thinking about a shorter boat in the spring.
Yeah.
And that's a strong contender
It's that the Titan 10.5 I think is probably the best native propel boat. Like,
Yeah.
I almost wish I would have went 10.5, but the 12 is.
Well, we fish a lot of open water here, though.
I
You
like
fish a lot of open
having
water.
like I go out in big water sometimes.
Yeah. So the difference in the width between the 10.5 and the 12, though, is huge.
Yeah, so you go from, what is it, like 38?
38, 37 and a half, 38, something like that.
Yeah, to 39.
Your 12 is 39?
Yep.
Okay, I thought it was actually wider than that.
The 13.5 is 41.
Oh, that's too big, though. That's too
That
big.
boat is a bass boat.
Yeah, that's too big. Put like a
the-
5-horse on that.
Yeah. And I'm coming from the Slayer Max, which is like 34.
Mm-hmm. See, my
34. That's a huge gap. I mean, it just looks bigger in the back of my truck.
My top water's a 34, but like I said, I'm going to give credit where credit's due. I can stand in that boat. I can turn
Yeah.
around in that boat. I don't have any stability problems with that boat.
I was able to, and I had the Slayer for the whole year. I was 100% fine standing.
Mhm.
I was able to stand on my seat a couple times for a different vantage point.
Really?
Wouldn't do it all the time. Yeah.
My seat would fall through if I tried to do that.
Oh no. Well, I don't know how top. Where are the old towns made here? They're made in China.
I don't think they're made in China. It would cost a lot to make a boat in China and get it
I don't
over
know.
here.
I think Pelican and a bunch. Maybe they
Well,
make those in the U.S.
They may actually make the top and the bottom over there and then ship them over here and assemble them here. Those two-piece boats.
They, well, I know obviously the natives are made in the U.S. and the seats are made in factory too,
Okay.
down in Fletcher. And I feel like if you have a seat problem with native, I think you can send it back and get it fixed.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like the Titan 10.5 is such a good boat. It is heavier. Where the Slayer does come in a sleeker package.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, look at what he was looking to use the boat for, though. So he talked about wanting to go out in the Patuxent proper, not creeks and tributaries.
Yeah,
but Patuxent proper.
I'd
Although,
want the little bigger boat.
looking for blue catfish in the Patuxent, he might be talking about some of the water
Some of
that's
the north.
further up. Like
I feel like sometimes the
around
boat
Wastelands.
traffic in the Patuxent makes it worse than the bay.
I have it in my creek.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's ridiculous. Snakeheads in Blackwater, any of these boats are going to do that. Striped bass fishing.
I feel like when it came to some of the backwater stuff,
Mm-hmm.
having the more stable platform to stand, maneuver around, will do better for a lot of topwater fishing.
Yep.
I like standing in for topwater, but
So while I have enjoyed my topwater, I would look at it this way. If you're looking to just slide into the market, I would look at that Slayer Propel 10.
yeah,
Okay.
it's a great price point.
But if I want it, because how much more is the Slayer is that Titan 10.5 over that Propel 10?
Yeah,
You're talking about an extra what, $600, something like that?
yeah, it's an investment. It's a good bit more
But
of an investment.
it's not that big of an investment.
No,
If you're dropping $2,200 on a boat, $2,600 or $2,100 versus $2,600. I mean, in my opinion, just the sheer aggravation of some of the things that Titan solves.
Yep.
I mean, that's hard to beat, man. That's really hard to beat. So if we had to put a stamp on a winner here in this conversation between those boats,
I think it's a Titan.
it's a Titan. It's the Titan.
Yeah, Titans.
It's the Titan.
I'm going to stock heavily in the Titan 10.5s next year.
You need to.
There is a new boat coming out in January.
But if you stock heavy next year, when would you get them actually? Like 2023, 2024, something like that?
We should be back into placing our preseason, which will give me a good chunk of boats. I don't know. That Slayer barely made it in the store.
Yep.
Chris picked that up, and I didn't even know he was looking at a boat.
Mm-hmm. In and out. He actually came over the dock because he puts his boat in across the creek from me.
Oh, he lives over there?
Yeah, he lives over in St. Leonard Shores.
Is he the one that told you to stop blinding him with your light?
No, no. But he slides over the creek now every once in a while. And he told me that he was going to be out Sunday, and I was down working on the dock. I was out power washing, and after my slip and fall,
Yeah.
I took a power washer down there and cleaned that all up real good. Got all that green moss and everything off of there. But he slid over and tissue off his new boat. And,
Nice.
He was really
like
excited
it?
about it. Yeah, he said he definitely caught some fish on Sunday in it, and it made a difference. So I told him, I said, pedal boat over a paddle boat.
Guaranteed fit? No, it wasn't there.
Man, oh man. And I looked it up. I the only thing I got, that's pdog_killa on Instagram. So thank you, because that was a great conversation, and I think that a lot of people are going to find that valuable. At that price point for those boats, I think we really did a good deep dive into that, made some recommendations, and gave some fallback positions as well. If you really don't want to put that money, or that weight is an issue, then the Topwater and the Titan aren't for you. You want to go to the Slayer.
Yep.
And avoid those other things. I just really not a fan of that new canoe, that Frontier 10. Doesn't float my boat. So we tickled this earlier, and I think we're getting ready to get a little Joey excitement going on here. Hey, wait, do you want to check anything going on over in the live stream?
In the live stream. Let's see. I believe that.
What is that question that Russell had?
I do love some wide open deck.
Yeah,
Charles. It's nice. Russell had something about the Susquehanna is crazy low and very clear as well. Has this been impacting the bay? Question mark. Sorry, I shouldn't read it. Also, what do you recommend throwing in freshwater tributaries with tons of jumping shad? Are you trying to catch shad or?
I think he's just looking at the fact that there's shad in the water.
Sharks in the
And-
water.
and what are you going to catch there? So I'm going to be first to tell you, I know very little bit about the Susquehanna system. It is not a place that I have fished.
I want to fish the upper section.
You probably know more about that than I do, Joey, but if you don't, I don't know if we really have a good answer for that.
don't.
I don't want to like go half cocked and kind of try to answer that. So Russell, sorry about that. We just don't have the answer. A little bit later, Charles said I'd pick a native for the sole fact that he'd been in the pedal game longer. Yep. You hit on that, and he does like him some wide open deck. Justin Sellers, what's your guys' thoughts on the Autopilot 120 from Old Town versus a pedal drive? Motors versus pedals. So here's my thought. I am not a real big fan of a motor on a boat because I want to be.
Adds a whole different layer of crap
complexity.
you have to do.
Yeah, weight when you got batteries.
Wait, I'm talking about the paperwork.
Well, but not beyond that.
Oh.
Just the fact that when you go out and all of a sudden your battery dies and you got something that goes wrong with the motor, it's electric. It's like
Everyone says their battery won't die, but it will.
oh yeah. So I like the reliability of a pedal drive.
Yeah.
I really don't envision that. I mean, sure, could something go wrong with it? Obviously, the answer to that is yes. But if I have a better chance of my pedal drive breaking down than something electronic with batteries, with wiring, with cabling,
Yep.
you know.
I mean, if you want to get super fancy, and I refer to him a lot, Greg Blanchard runs a Titan 10.5 with a Torqeedo on the back.
Well, there you go.
So he uses a Torqeedo to get from point A to B in these tournaments where you got to cover a lot of water, and that thing just comes up until he's got to go back. And then it's pedal drive.
Yeah.
And then he's got a paddle.
So you have all the options.
Got all the
at your
options.
fingertips.
That's. I wonder how much his Titan costs. Like, I bet it's $7,000 or $8,000. Maybe not that much.
No.
He's got a Ray Marine system on there. He has.
Oh, you're talking about with all of the things
all
added
his stuff.
To it. Oh,
Like,
yeah.
have you seen his
could be.
walkthrough?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He has everything custom
Oh,
built.
you could easily do the math.
Oh,
Just
jeez.
watch it. And Charles, we've been seeing this. KBF is considering allowing 2 motors on a kayak. Saw Chad Hoover made that post. I think it was earlier today or yesterday. I don't even understand that, but I guess maybe I was thinking about it possibly from the spot lock and from that Autopilot 120 from Old Town. That is a nice feature. You can actually hit the spot lock and hold a spot.
Yeah.
And that motor is going to adjust to keep you oriented right exactly where you are. If you're fishing in current, that could be huge. If you roll over some fish, you find the fish, and then you want to mark them and stay on them, Spot Lock's going to do it.
That's
that
really
Autopilot
cool.
would do it. So that is a pretty cool solution.
There's a huge thing with, I guess everyone has it, but like One Up has a lot of attachments for trolling motors on natives and stuff for the like bow mounted.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's cool.
And hey, Justin, a side note. I didn't get your snakehead picture in the magazine last month, but you're in the brag board for November that just went to print. So
man, that
look for
seems
that.
like the other one just came out.
I know, right? I literally just sent the November issue to print.
Russell said he's trying to catch the bigger fish that I hope are eating the shad. The funny thing is, and I don't want to toot my own horn, is that's why I love tying flies. I can if as I've gotten more experience, is I can tie to imitate wherever I'm going. If I go to North Carolina, I can tie
Something
shrimp
to match the hatch.
shrimp and crabs, different kinds. I can tie bunker flies like menhaden. I can tie stuff that looks like perch, like on a dime. I don't have to go to the store. I also
that
have a
is
crap
nice.
ton of deer and chicken hair and freaking feathers and everything. If my wife knew what kind of dead animals I had on my desk
I
up
was
there.
going to say, that sounds like a party I went to in college one
Oh,
time.
yeah. There's a lot of dead animals up in my room. I got everything from I probably shouldn't say.
Charles
I've used
clarified.
my dog's hair.
Charles clarified that Chad Hoover did make a statement right before we went live that he's only going to allow 1 motor on a kayak, which I cannot understand why you would want to have 2. And Justin, we're circling back to the spot lock. He said, yeah, the spot lock is what keeps getting me, but I'm going to be using it for snakehead fishing. So I didn't think that's really going to work. Now, if you're fishing like Blackwater or somewhere where you don't have current, I don't know that spot lock's that critical. But if you're fishing somewhere that's got current, then it's critical. So it could really, really, really come in handy. Okay, Joe, are you ready to do a deep dive here?
I'll shave the deer.
The Maryland Department of Natural Resources announced the results of their most recent juvenile striped bass survey, which showed a, drumroll please, below average spawning rate in the bay this year. So I've been hearing about this year of the young of the year index forever. And I've honestly, Joey, I've never really given it that much thought. But now that we're doing this, I decided, you know what? I'm going to dip a piggy into that and see what it's all about. So I looked up exactly what it is and how it's done. Have you ever looked into that? Are you familiar with it
I
at
used
all?
to be very involved.
Okay. So the juvenile indices are derived annually from a sampling at 22 fixed stations within Maryland's portion of the bay. And these stations have been sampled continuously since 1954. That's a long time ago. They do change periodically some of the station locations. They are divided among the 4 major spawning and nursery areas, which is very important to note. 7 in the Potomac, the head of the bay, and 4 in the Nanticoke and Choptank. They do sampling monthly, with rounds occurring during July, which is round 1, August, round 2, and September, round 3. They replicate seine hauls a minimum of 30 minutes apart. They are taken at each site of each sample round. This produces a total of 132 samples from which the bay-wide means are calculated. And it's actually pretty simple what the results indicate. The success or lack of success of this year's class of fish with their spawning efforts. And so it tells us what the future holds with regards to the numbers of fish which you'd see in coming years as those fish mature. Now, striped bass are known for having highly variable annual reproduction rates that is often influenced by environmental factors. So a below average spawning rate is obviously something you don't want to see, but if you look at the indices, you will. So before we go to menhaden, thoughts on that? I mean, I looked at the charts, and you look at the 70s through the late 80s, and it's a flat, like horrific. Mm-hmm. And then you start to have these peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys. And, just what was it, 2015, there was a really nice, peak.
Yeah, 15 was a good year.
And then it falls off. So those 2015 fish are what? Our 20 to 24-inch fish that we're seeing now?
Yeah, in that class.
Yeah. Because I tried to figure out how old those fish were. So, I don't know. I think the real problem window occurs when you begin to see those repetitive windows of things being flattened out.
Yeah.
But something that's really bothered me, and I don't know if I might get in trouble for this, but I do have an opinion. I can't understand how recreational guys that get out 2, 3, if you're lucky, 4 times a month are only allowed to take 1 fish. But charter boats that go out every day are allowed to take 2 per angler. I feel like the recreational guys are being penalized, and the charter boat captain, I get it, the economies of it, it's their livelihood, it's their jobs, I get it. I get all of that. But if the core of what we're trying to do is conservation and manage the fishery, if you look at it with that lens, it doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. Am I wrong?
I don't know how to approach this one without sounding
just say what you think.
So, I've actually gone up to Capitol Hill and lobbied against different acts. Worked with, I used to be a big fan of CCA, and I'm kind of not anti-CCA, but they've changed their views a lot. There was a big act, I think Mangus and Stevens, in general, on fisheries, and besides that being a thing, it opened my eyes up in different aspects of recreational fishermen versus charter guys. And if you start looking at maybe some guys go out 3-4 times a month, but I don't think people realize how many recreational fishermen are out there.
Okay, so you're saying there's a volume thing.
It might sound
fair.
the charter guy can take 5.
Mm-hmm.
There might be 15 charter guys in one area, and to a point, charter guys understand, if they take too much, that's their living.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think everyone looks at the long-term situation.
Mm-hmm.
And looks at the effects of, might be good for the next few years, but maybe like 10 years from now, the side effects of what we're going to do. Back to what I was saying, I guess I'm going to circle around this, but there's more recreational people than we think.
Okay.
And if everyone's constantly taking fish, those numbers add up quick.
But
I think that's the point of it.
But what if those recreational guys aren't actually going out, because why bother? I'm only allowed to keep one fish.
Yeah.
Now, what's the trickle-down economic impact of that with regard to gas sales, travel sales,
that's
hotel
where,
sales?
We got into the MSA Act on like an Atlantic level and everything is, I don't know how to sum this up and say it right. What commercial-wise people are looking at is the more people can fish, the better that Yamaha's going to do. There's some more motors, better St. Croix is going to sell more rods, blah, blah, blah. But at a certain point, if we take everything out now, I'm always looking at the long term of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Instead of having a huge spike, fishing's great, we sell everything gets sucked out, and then we have a horrible fishery.
Mm-hmm. And then it's this yo-yo.
Yeah. Versus we should have more of a flat line of that. Mm-hmm. Not flat line. And I think if it's done right, it can increase slowly over time. But the big commercial companies are looking for that instant gratification, and that's what's happened a lot with the fisheries. And that's where like CCA sides, if you actually look into CCA, is they side a lot with a lot of the commercial stuff versus what they used to do. And the short-term effects might be great on controlling the fisheries and having numbers and stuff, but 5 years from now might be totally different from 2 years. So, it's a balance.
Let me throw a wrinkle in for you.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to talk about menhaden. So, at the same time, this was just yesterday, the Capital Gazette reported in an article that the menhaden's role as a food source is at last going to be factored into possible catch limit change for the most important fish. Now, you've heard that menhaden called that over and over and over again. It's the most important fish in the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And they want to know why. Menhaden, and I'm going to use an analogy here, they're the pigs of the bay.
Yeah.
Okay? So much like a pig converts grass into tasty bacon that we all love, the menhaden converts algae from the bay into tasty food for other game fish, most importantly the striped bass.
Yep.
Now, menhaden, in addition to being food for game fish, are harvested for fish oil and fertilizer. And until recently, their catch limits have not considered their value to the entirety of the ecosystem as a food source for other fish. Duh.
Yeah.
How dumb is that? How shallow, backwards thinking is that? Earlier this year, the Atlantic Menhaden Management Board, a subset of the Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission, finally approved the use of a new ecological reference point model to inform management that considers menhaden's role as a food for other species such as rockfish and bluefish. Instead of focusing on menhaden independently, the model examines the interactions between the tiny silverfish and other key species in the Chesapeake Bay and Atlantic Ocean. I should have noted that was quoted from the article from the Capital Gazette.
Yeah.
So here's where it gets even trickier, Joey. So many different states are involved in the harvest numbers, and that adds a total additional layer of complexity to the issue. And here's your example we were talking about earlier. Omega Protein, which recently moved its headquarters to Reedville, Virginia, uses reduced menhaden to make food and health products. Omega Protein Corporation exceeded the Chesapeake's 51,000 metric ton limit in 2019, landing 67,000 metric tons.
Yep.
In a news release, they said that they were in compliance with Virginia law, which had not been updated to reflect a 2017 amendment to the Interstate Fishery Plan that lowered the cap on catches in the Chesapeake from 87,216 to the 51,000 metric tons that they violated.
Yep.
It's my personal opinion. It's kind of a simple idea to consider the health of the main source of their food when examining the health of a game fish population.
You would almost think it's that easy, though.
I mean, where does it get difficult though?
It like when I was at that thing, the meeting, it's hard for people to real. I don't know why it's hard for people to realize that.
I mean, you can't look.
You get half the people like, oh, it's our jobs and all. It's like, yeah, but
you can't look at a subset of an issue like that and make decisions. I mean, it's absurd. It's absolutely absurd to think that you can make decisions, because we're talking about this Young of the Year index and how it's anticipated to have an impact on the fisheries in the future. But we're making all these decisions on what a commercial recreational versus a recreational fisherman can keep when there's a company down in Virginia that's literally stripping the bay of their food source.
Oh, and those boats will run all the way up the bay, and it's just horrible. I mean, it's the life of the bay.
So I don't know. We do not have an answer to this.
Yeah, I don't want to get too political.
No, that's okay.
I'm very big on the conservation. I've been tapered off a little bit this year. Striped bass.
Did I fire you up again for it?
I could. Well, I've been reading. So ASMFC is doing striped bass tomorrow. There's all kinds of stuff coming up.
There's a meeting today.
There's some big meetings this week on different fisheries.
And it's every fall. That's when it happens. It's every fall.
And I think this year's crucial because we have some numbers to look at. I'm really big at following the American Saltwater Guides Association.
Mm-hmm.
Like my friend Tony is helped start that, and there's a lot of good guides on there, and some captains, and a lot of scientists on that one. And they have a really nice social media presence, and they were doing a lot of webinars and stuff recently to educate people.
Mm-hmm.
And I went up with them and I forgot the nonprofit last year up on Capitol Hill, and we lobbied against some big companies and even conservation groups that may not be named. I think all of us are looking long term. We're looking at the life of everything, our future, and we're trying to see the big picture. And I think that's what everyone eventually needs to do. So,
I mean, I understand fisheries change.
They do.
We see puppy drum this year when we haven't seen puppy drum in these numbers before. Yeah. But that's what I understand. That's a natural occurrence.
Yes.
So fisheries change.
Yep.
But when they change because of an impact of a policy decision,
exactly,
and a policy decision that doesn't take into account the whole picture, that's a real problem. So we do not have a solution for that, Joey. But I wanted to bring that to everybody's attention.
On everything.
Yeah, neither am I. I mean,
I don't know. I feel like it'd be fun to have Tony on one night.
Let's do it
to talk about it a little bit, because Tony is also a rebel fisherman too. Like he's a Tony's a dude from Louisiana that has a well, he'd be fun. He came down to fish puppy drum with me recently.
Yeah. What's going on in the live stream? Anything we need to catch up on?
Jerry said charters also often run 2 trips a day with 6 customers per trip. That's potentially 24 striped bass, for example, per day. Possibly. That's if they're catching. That's if they're doing.
That's also if they actually, I mean, the economics may or may not make sense. They may run 2 trips on a Saturday, but they're not doing that 7 days.
But they're also not running every day.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's also an argument against, like Jerry could argue against that too, and I could see his point.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm a kind of a softie for conservation stuff because I like my fishery and I like the water.
I look at you got to look at the economic impact of both the commercial charter captain and the recreational fisherman.
Yep.
You've got to take a holistic approach. You can't pick this thing apart into bits and pieces, and I think that's where you see lobbyists come into play.
Yeah.
And who can afford the bigger gun?
Yeah, exactly.
Is what it comes down to.
And what we did last year, we got everyone, average Joes, guys that are making rods, charter captains. We had some pretty big offshore dudes out there with us lobbying because I think they want, and we're up talking to big, senators and all, their staff, but waiting for this thing to come into play, and stuff already got voted. But anyway, Charles just said, it's like you told me, Brian, this is the time of year to try to make changes, and this year should be the year we try to change things.
Yep.
Especially after the reef hat. Yeah, exactly.
This is the time and the place. So,
and it might sound boring sometimes to some people, but I think everyone needs an education on it if they like to fish.
If you like to fish.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even if you don't like to fish, taking again a holistic approach.
Where we live, The bay is our life.
Exactly.
Everything comes back to that. Maybe unless you're in the Navy.
All right, Joey. Let's
talk fishing.
Let's step back.
Man, are we?
You need to tell your North Carolina fishing
we are going to have a
stories.
long episode this week.
It is.
I'm not
That's
even worried
okay.
about it. I'm just going to keep talking.
Yep.
I'm not going to shorten it up. Long story short, the Titan's still in the back of my truck. Boondocks on the. I'm actually extremely happy I have the old landing gear after all the stuff I see about the new landing gear.
Yeah.
However, Boondocks decided to make that orange bar that's in the middle specific. Remember that? I had you look. I went to Lowe's. I looked online. I had Will, who works in dad owns like a machine shop, and he's like a welder engineer guy. Couldn't find 1-inch OD or 25 4mm bar. And I just you know what I didn't do this whole time?
Call them.
I didn't look on Boondocks. So that boat has been in the back of my truck since last Monday, and I cannot figure out how to get it out efficiently without doing something stupid. So I'm like, I've actually been fishing out of the Bonafide like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Which is actually really fun. Also a lot of work. So the Titan is still in the back of my truck, and I probably should set up my transducer and everything while it's still there, not at the water.
Yeah.
But I also I've had like zero time.
But wait. Get back to did you actually call them? Can
yes,
they send you
today I set up, I actually made a dealer account on they have a new website, which is great, which I just found out about today. I was able to order it through their site as a dealer. It's only coming from like outside Raleigh, North Carolina. It should be here in a day or two. I told her, she's like, well, how urgent? And it's like, well, this thing's been in the back of my truck for a week, and I am not moving it. I was like, thank God for my T-bone. So it's still sitting there.
That's why your truck hasn't been at the shop.
I always park out back.
Oh, okay. Well,
especially with
the
the
boat.
kayak, I park out back.
Yeah. Well, now everybody knows that's where your boat and your truck.
Good luck taking it. It's 120, 30 pounds. I don't even have my motor in it, or my
drive,
drive and Garmin and stuff, my batteries. But like yesterday morning, it's almost nice going back to the fact that other than I hate paddling, like that Bonafide has been fun. Like I went out yesterday morning really quick. I woke up and I was like, hey, Jess, I'm going out for like an hour. Like I go down there with 2 fly rods, a book bag with my fly boxes and Pop-Tarts in it and coffee.
Nice.
I hop in it. I'm not setting anything up, and I just get in and go.
What's your
so fast.
What's your Pop-Tart flavor?
I love the cinnamon, brown sugar.
And then you set them up on the bow of the boat to let the sun heat them
I
up.
just ate them. Like I said, yesterday was nice, but I got back. I'm like, I need to get my boots out. Jay said Boondocks customer service is surprisingly worse compared to it. I will and I won't agree on that sometimes. I do know they got overwhelmed this summer. Like Sophia is awesome, but sometimes I've had a little thing here and there. But I've also had a little bit with everyone this year.
I've had good experience with Boondocks customer service. I've actually talked as a consumer. I've talked to Sophia.
I've had equal ups and downs with Boondocks, Yak Attack, Ram Mount, stuff like that.
It's a weird year. You can't judge anything.
Yeah,
by
this year's been weird.
You can't judge anything by this year.
But anyway, like
except this podcast, you can go to iTunes and give it a 5-star rating.
Yeah, unless you hate hearing me talk about conservation. Jerry might do that now. Jerry's a cold-blooded killer. My wife said chocolate s'mores is the best. Yes, Sophia. Yeah, like I said, I think Sophia like runs half the stuff with Boondocks. So I think sometimes she forgets, or she like really follows through. I don't know. Miss Sophia, I love her. I called her today. But yeah, I'm going out blind with the Bonafide, and I'm fishing all topwater.
Hey now,
I know. I love Jerry though. It was fun. I'm fishing blind, but I'm fishing topwater. And I'm not traveling as far because I wore myself out last Monday remember that? Yes. Like Thursday night, I went out and I fished I'm going to hit 4 points, and I wanted to fish in each one. All produced. All was great. Right before sunset was, I actually have been, I don't want to, like we were talking, I've been anti-numbers and measuring lately.
Okay.
I feel like every time someone asks me about a fish, it's a number.
You got a number on that fish.
Yeah, but everyone
right?
fishing-wise wants a number.
Well, that's all they want to know. That's all
and
we
it's
know.
fine, but I would say
only-
I didn't measure that fish.
I only measure a fish.
I do think I caught a 23 or 24 inch
Okay.
the other night at the Big Hatteras.
Okay.
Did I didn't talk about the last podcast. I'm out there, like I said, I've only been taking my fly rods. I tied a really nice. I have a fly that I'm trying out that I feel like I'm the only one to try. It's a weird combination.
Mhm.
It's a topwater fly, and I wanted to float. And I'm spinning bucktail and some foam, and it was doing really well. And right before it actually got dark, I'm fishing over here right by the house at this rock wall
On your side of the creek or the other side?
on my side.
On your side?
Just over here.
Okay, I know what you're talking
And
about. Up around the corner.
there's a
around the
big
corner.
Hatteras boat and a huge mansion.
Yep.
And they have like a boathouse out
Yep.
there that like you could live in.
Yeah, I fished
Like I
that.
want to
that-
go up there and just have a beer inside of it.
I have
Yeah.
fished that little flat that's right off their seawall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's an osprey nest there, but the ospreys are gone.
Oh, so
I'm
you're
not
okay.
afraid of getting attacked.
My eyes.
And like the other night, I was like, man, I feel like if I fish the pier out the wall a little bit, there's going to be a decent fish. And I drifted out a little bit. I'm like, oh, I didn't fish it like I wanted. And I get back up in there and I cast it between the rocks, the pier here, and the pilings. And one cast, I had a really nice boil. I was like, oh man, I got my
Topwater?
blood pumping.
Topwater?
Like that's all my box now. So I sit there for a second. I kind of calm down a little bit, and all right, I throw another one in there. And the second or third strip when it was bloop bloop, and this thing exploded. And it was on my 8-weight, which is a pretty hefty rod, but instantly took me into my backing on my fly rod and started getting around the pilings. I'm like, oh no, like this is. I thought it was like almost a high 20s fish the way it was fighting. And what sucked about the bonafide,
You had no control.
I had no control of the boat.
No control.
And I'm doing this thing where I got the paddle and I got a fly rod. And I'm like, oh man, this sucks. I'm gonna lose.
Yep.
I really thought I had a 28, 29. But still, I was surprised. Like this thing was 23, 24. And like 5 or 10 minutes. It's getting really dark now. I was able to get a picture, and I got it up to the boat, and my leader on my fly line was just rubbed raw. I don't know. So it was fun, and it was really nice not staring at my screen, and I'm ready to get back my Garmin now.
Yeah.
But same thing yesterday morning.
Yeah.
Nothing over 20, but went out for an hour, didn't go far from the house. The bonafide was cool.
Yeah.
That was a long
These-
talk about.
these fish are getting shoulders right now.
Yeah,
They
that's
are.
what I was
They
saying,
are.
that-
Even the little 15s and 17s.
yeah.
Man.
What pissed me off yesterday was I had so many follows where they just kind of boil right behind it, and you see a little dorsal fin, and then they just swim off.
So when I'm trolling my little paddle tails,
Yeah.
I'll get a rod pop, like a pull down,
Yeah,
and I'll immediately stop because if it doesn't hook up, I'll
Yeah.
immediately stop pedaling the boat and let that
Yeah.
bait just drop. And almost 50% of the time,
There.
that fish will come right back at it.
and I noticed the schoolies will do that too.
Yeah.
I feel like the bigger fish just commit. Every time
Yeah.
I've had a bigger fish,
Yeah.
the
They start screaming drag. Yeah.
well they'll commit, like they won't screw around with it. They're gonna whack it, not whap it, like
Whack it.
Yeah. Anyway, but the bonafide's been fun, but I'm ready to get back on the propel boat, and
I'm sure.
like I said, my dad's ready to. The bonafides, we're either gonna hang on to it or sell it or something, and
I keep it as a little sidebar boat.
possibly, yeah.
You know.
It's nice having down at the water.
Yeah. You haven't even started on your North Carolina trip
Yeah,
yet.
I'm going to try to Summit, North Carolina. Basically, I went down to Topsail to see my best friend, and his wife was having a baby shower, and she invited Jess. So it was like, well, you got the baby shower. And me and Dan, we got a guide. So we got this guy, Perry McDougald, who I am so, like, Perry was just one of the dudes. Like, Perry was awesome. You hear all kinds of guide stories, and I've actually never really been out with many guides. I'm not big on that. And I'm not going to spend $600. That was the best day I've ever had fishing.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I told Perry, I said, hey, we want to go out. I said, I want to fish a flood tide. And he's a fly guy only. We did take some spinning rods just because it's easy to with two people. I said, I want to catch redfish in the marsh. Like, I know you have it. I know that's all you do. And he said, sure. Like, how long you want to go? And then we get out a couple days. He's like, man, it's going to be windy as hell. I'm like, I only have Saturday. It's like you're the one pushing a boat. And Perry runs a It's an East Cape skiff. It's a flats boat. It's a full flats boat. No high gun. Like there's no.
You're like standing on a boat.
It is. It's drafting 6 inches of water, pulling platforms. Perry pushed us through the marsh all day.
Oh my God!
And it was windy. He got that guy did so much work. That guy worked so hard. Oh yeah, we did. It was a blast. We got along so well. He's young like us.
And he put you on a fish.
And so we run out of Swansboro. We run south into Intercoast towards Lejeune. We get into the first creek in the marsh. And he's like, all right, the back of this, as we work our way back, we can get here and here. And there's a poling flat or like a tailing flat. So people are not familiar with, as much as we talk about redfish, tailing redfish is when you have redfish and Spartina grass and stuff like that are nose down, ass up, eating crab, shrimp, and all that's sticking out is their tail. And you see these beautiful, and the tails are huge down there because the fish are huge. So I've been addicted to that. But we get in there, and he said, all right, the water's rising. We're going to work our way back. And here's how we're going to fish. We're going to fish this creek all the way in. You're going to hit the points, blah, blah, blah. Dan's second cast Perry puts them on a 25, 27-inch redfish. And Dan's like, oh my, he's like, I don't know if I have an oyster bed. He's like, is it moving? Yeah. And it just, redfish just runs. And there's only so much water.
Right.
So I'm like, all right. My biggest goal was I wanted Dan to catch a fish.
It's a visual thing as well as the rod thing. Yeah, yeah.
It was awesome. And Dan's hooked up instantly. And Dan fights that. And then we see other fish moving through the creek. Got a little antsy. I popped a couple really nice fish. It just, you're on that platform. It's blowing. The wind wasn't horrible. We're at golden hour, so we got some good pictures. Missed a couple, but we get to the back, and he's like, all right, we're going to look for some tailors. And I instantly had my eye on some nervous water. And I'm like, Perry, do you see that? And I'm standing, on a platform on top of the skiff, so I got a good vantage point. He's like, yeah, I don't know what that is. And it was 5 minutes we were watching it. And I was like, all right, I think that's it. And I honestly thought it was that big. I was like, the tail wasn't fully out like I thought.
Uh-huh.
You could just see it rooting through the Spartina grass, eating stuff. And it's a nice flat. And we planned it out, and I make one cast, and I led the fish. And we were almost like, I thought I messed it up.
Thought you missed it?
And I didn't realize the fish was closer than I thought to that. And this thing went almost at a headstand. It was one of the coolest redfish eats Perry even said he saw. This thing almost flipped over. Its tail went up and then just took off. And it's running through the grass. It was totally different than catching a redfish up here. And we're in 6 inches of water. And it wasn't until we got it closer I realized, it was high 20s, maybe 25, not high 20s. And that was a big fish.
Yeah.
In that much water.
Oh, yeah.
Probably going down as my best fish I've ever caught from start to finish. It was the closest thing to hunting without a gun as you could get.
That is a cool story, dude.
And this thing comes out of the water. It was so golden. It had the beautiful blue tail. It was just watching it eat and everything. It was awesome.
Well, that's my local cover for December. Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, it was. God, I'm. The pictures, Dan got a new camera. All we did was take pictures of everything. There's going to be, I'm putting a bunch throughout my house from everything. There's cool marsh shots, but we ended up going throughout the day. Perry took us, like I said, he did so much work pushing us through. And it was a lot of stuff. I was like, man, this is going to be really cool if I go down with my kayak, especially the Titan. I got a push pole on that, and I could stand on the seat. We fished the flood tide. We got back in another creek past Lejeune, and we're actually fishing next to tanks they have out in the marsh, which is cool. They used to have it for target practice back in the day. Maybe I don't think they still do it. And man, we found one huge tail. This thing was probably a 30-inch fish. And same thing, we sat there for a while, and the wind was pushing us hard where we were, and we just stalked it. We finally got to a point where we got close enough, and we just couldn't get a cast in there, and it disappeared. That was our last tailer. And then we actually went to we found a lot of creeks that were water was super low, barely enough to get the boat through. full on sight fishing. Like there's Taylor sight fishing, and then like there's
where you can see the whole fish.
You can see these fish, and
Like
I
bonefish.
missed so many fish because they were so spooked, or the cast was so short with a fly rod. I also caught a lot of fish too. I'm just saying I missed a lot. He put us through a lot of areas with some nice fish. And then, you're catching these fish blowing up in that shallow water. There's oyster beds all over, or boats scraping on the oysters. It's just a cool experience.
Yeah.
He took us out to the inlet, tried to hook us up on some false albacore. It just got really choppy in like a little 16-foot flats boat.
Yeah, that's tough.
To the point where even maybe you might have needed a 30-foot grady to get out. But then we caught some Spanish mackerel, bluefish, and then ran back in for the last bit of redfish and caught some more. I did catch a flounder. The experience was awesome.
Wow.
I love marsh fishing. Like,
Wow.
I am ready to go back, and just Perry and us meshed well.
Wow.
I mean, I could talk about this all. My wife is so sick of me talking about it.
Wow.
But it was cool.
Yeah,
I mean, the
in
whole
earlier,
thing.
she's like, I don't want to hear about the fish headstand anymore.
Yeah, that yeah, Charles were at the old artillery range. So the funny thing is, we came across about feet and signs that were up, and then just all these old vehicles and stuff in the marsh. It's just like, he's like, you're gonna think we're not supposed to be here, and really we're not, but we're going anyway. And he's like, if you see something metal in the water, I don't want to chance it. He's like, there's still stuff out here. It might be 50 years old, might not work. It might, you never know. And we got a little close to some stuff, but that whole process. I wish we had it on video. That Taylor, that redfish, and I think the biggest one we caught was high 20s.
Yeah,
and we ended up keeping one, but that comes back to the conservation thing. We're like, I was looking at like, this is Perry's job. Perry, he's going to come back. He's going to catch some of these fish maybe once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
I got to keep it.
Yeah.
We got.
Well, how many could you have kept?
Huh?
How many could you have kept?
I think you could keep one or two. No, I think one between 19 and like 29.
Like a slot limit, kind of the same. Yeah, okay.
But still, I was looking at that picture. So Dan kept one. We had some really nice redfish bites that night.
Nice.
We got some shrimp right off a boat.
Shrimp and crabs, I'd destroy them.
Oh, I wish we had
fish,
crabs.
I'm a little more. I am a little discerning. I'm with you.
It got like Perry kept us out from 7 in the morning. We actually got there at 1:45, and I didn't want to be the dude that showed up late, or showed up right at 7. But I want to get there too early, and we got there after because it was an hour drive up.
Yeah.
And he was ready to go. He's like, "Yeah, you guys, you showed us around. Pogies is a kayak fly shop thing down there.
Mm-hmm.
They have it's a kayak shop too that his brother owns that he guides out of.
Swansboro?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right at the pier.
They
had kayaks laying out all over.
I stayed in an Airbnb that was above Pogies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's where we went out of.
Yeah, the little restaurant right next to
Yeah.
it. A couple of restaurants right there off the pier. Yeah.
So that's where we met Perry, and then he brought us back like at 5. Like it was. Like
It's a long day.
I was actually exhausted. I laid on the boat a little bit coming back, and I was like, "Dude, my back is killing me." He's like, "I'm tired of casting." And I'm sure he looked at me like, he's like, "You're a little bitch, aren't you?" Like,
feed you like a little baby bird.
Yeah. Well, he packed us lunch too. I brought pulled pork. We had a good time.
Sounds like a bike tour guy.
Oh yeah. We met some of his friends. Gave us some Miller Lights on the water.
That's nice.
Drank those after the day.
That's awesome, dude. What a great trip.
I was pooped. Meant to get oysters. I wanted some oysters down there, but yeah, between fishing and then I came back. It was a packed trip. I had no downtime, and then yesterday morning caught some nice striper back in Maryland.
I'm gonna run through my week really quick. I've been every day catching rockfish in the creek, and a lot of them are short. They're like 7.
Yeah, but you get some lunch every day.
I've had some like 18s that have been just the shoulders on these fish are ridiculous.
They're getting strong.
And today I picked up a 20 and a half, which I've kept probably 4 or 5 fish this season. And this one was not one I wanted to keep.
Yeah.
He came up, he took that bait, he rolled around on the surface, he screamed drag, he gave me a fun little fight, and I was like, no, you're going back in the water.
Yeah.
I got a couple of great pictures, and that's that. I just didn't feel like it was the point.
That's my feeling on a lot of.
So in the creek, it's like when I find the points, you find the bait fish.
Yep.
On one side or the other of that point, rockfish arches all over the place. And all you got to do, and I tried today to throw a little topwater, little popper. And I got, the little sandbar that I fish, used to be the island, and you look on my tracks, and it's like I go circle around it.
Yep.
Well, I marked a bunch of fish sitting on the bottom, right on that ledge off of that bar, and I marked them again on another pass, marked them again. So I knew exactly where those fish were. So I was like, oh, wait, I'm going to put this trolling stuff away. I brought a third rod, tied me up a topwater plug, started chucking it. One cast. Twitch. No. I had to I knew that I was going to have to kind of dial it in. To find the right spot. Second cast, I was like, look how far I just cast that plug. And it had literally taken off. I think when I
Did you
gathered
spoil
it,
yourself?
No, not even close to that. But I mean, because I kept my eye on it, I could see it. And I was like, paddle, like $12 plug I just threw out in the middle of the creek. So I'm like, paddle.
Oh, you chucked a plug off of the...
Yeah, it came undone. But I don't know.
You want a knot course?
No, I don't know what came undone because the line was still tied. The leader line was still tied to the plug, and when I wrapped it up, I think my leader line had gotten nicked. Is what I think had happened. Because then when I pulled the line in, it was like the other side, the knot from the leader to the run line, the main line, was intact.
Is that with braid or your?
That was a mono to fluoro.
Oh, okay.
I have one rod that I keep mono to fluoro. The others are braid to fluoro.
I'm not gonna lie though. The one spinning rod I occasionally take out with topwater, I just go straight braid to the
straight braid to the topwater bait.
I get lazy. As much as I should tie a mono leader with a loop knot to the plug, I just just rip it through.
Well, I got the plug back, and then I put it away, and I was like, screw it. I'm just like, because we had to do this tonight. We had we had 2 really full nights.
Yeah,
two really.
We started.
Yeah,
you started like at 5:30. It's 9:00 at night.
Yeah, and so we put in a couple of. I fished about an hour and a half today, and then I was like, nope, got to go, got to get cleaned up. Joey don't want me to smell like fish in his house. So.
That's fine.
But like I said, these fish they're getting so fat. And it's just you pull them out of the water and you look at their bellies, and it's like their bellies are bulging. Yeah. And the next day when I go down to my boat to go back out for the next day, I literally have to look around under the seat because they're puking menhaden and bunker all over the boat. I mean, it's just everywhere. And I'll literally find 2 or 3 that I missed, and it'll be up underneath the seat or somewhere in the tank well in the back. And I'm like pulling these dead fish out. So that's me fishing this week. We have any more questions from the live stream? I think we've kind of followed them down, so I don't really think we have any.
I do want to say the redfish we kept, we cut up I wish we dumped out its guts, and crap ton of crab and crab legs in that stomach. It was so cool. Yeah,
could have been dinner.
Yeah, we know what that's eating because we were taking bets on
what was in the belly.
All the bunker or crabs or shrimp. There's so much stuff to eat down there. The mullet down there, the mullet you can almost confuse if you don't know what you're looking for. They get big.
Yeah.
And you're like, is that a red? You're like, no. You got to look at the tail real quick when you're doing the.
Have you ever had mullet?
No, but Perry
mullet?
tells me if someone can figure out how to catch mullet on a fly rod, you're gonna be a millionaire. Because they are awesome, and they if you foul hook one, they fight like a mother. They're cool. But the redfish will eat some of the smaller ones. But you seen the crusher plate on a bigger redfish in the back of its mouth? Because you can lip them. You goons lip them. You don't make a nice picture. But have you know about the crusher plate farther back in the redfish?
Yeah, but I've not seen one I'm serving a fish that size.
Oh, like a bigger man. I was like, man, they can crush everything.
Oof.
If they're eating crabs and all.
I need to show you a picture. My buddy and I, back when I was 20s, we'd go down to fish the Outer Banks every year in the fall, and we got into a huge run of puppy drum.
Is that back in the day when you had the cameras with the drapes over?
Yeah, and they had the plates. You had to put the plate in. But he sent me a picture. I sent him a picture of my little 12-inch puppy drum, and he sent me back this picture of this drum. The drum was like that big. It was massive.
It's cool looking all over at those bigger fish because we've been catching nice little fish up here. You started looking at the bigger ones.
I want to make sure we get to this or that this week. Because I put a lot of effort. I feel like I've been phoning in to this or that. Are you looking at them? Don't look at them. Right. Don't look at them. First item on this or that, Joey. White jig head or yellow jig head?
Probably white.
I always go white. I don't know what it is. I've got yellow. I just don't ever seem to fish it. I don't know that it really matters. Do you think it really matters? I don't think it really matters.
Yeah, I feel like you will get picky rockfish, but
Yeah.
otherwise they eat.
That was kind of a boring one. Sorry, throwaway.
No, I liked it.
Would you rather fish in the chilly rain or fish in the heat and high humidity?
Ooh. That's a tough one. I almost want to pick chili rain. If is the fishing good both times?
Yeah, all other things are considered.
Oh
the
yeah,
same.
chili rain.
All other things.
Oh,
considered
put
the same.
on boots, waders, rain jacket.
I would go heat and humidity. I did that all summer, and I basically
That's
would just
gross.
the only thing that I would wear is my PFD, my flotation. I would just be out naked.
I wish.
Just wearing.
I love being
No.
naked.
No, I would definitely go with heat and humidity. I think over the chilly rain. It would make me sick. I think I'd walk
No.
away sick.
My best fishing day in New York was horrible downpours on the Delaware River, but between wearing waders and a rain jacket,
Mm.
I wasn't
Didn't
any
feel it?
wetter than because my hands were wet.
I don't know at what point I'm going to break out the dry suit for the kayak. I'm definitely doing
Oh,
it
I'll
this
never
winter.
do that, but
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because I think some of these rockfish that I've been catching are resident fish. I think I should be able to stay on them. Sean threw out an answer: chilly rain.
yeah.
So you got somebody in your camp. I would go with the heat and humidity. Now this next question, you're not looking at them, are you? Don't look at them.
No, I'm looking
Be
at
careful. Don't look at them. Is he texting me now?
No, I texted that back.
No politics.
Yep.
This is straight fishing.
Ah.
Who do you think would be the better angler, Joe Biden or Donald Trump? No politics.
I feel like the Don could use Mike's fly. I don't know. I feel like Joe Biden might have a little more patience.
I think he would. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see Donald Trump.
I
Actually
never thought about seeing both of them fish.
Did you imagine? That was the visual that popped in my head. Seeing both of them out there. That would be a great debate format. Put them in a trout stream. I don't know. I don't know either one of them would actually be very good at it. So I'm going to just pass. I'm going to punt. But if I had to choose, I would probably have to say Joe Biden would be a better angler.
Who was it?
I think Donald Trump just doesn't have the patience. He would be, all right, go, just throw some dynamite in there, blow the fish up, put a bomb on it. I don't know. So anyway, did you have something to add to that? You sounded like you're fishing.
No, I was thinking when a river runs through it, when Brad Pitt's like, I interviewed the president, Calvin Coolidge.
Yeah.
When he was fly fishing out in Montana.
Would you rather wear a suit and tie for your work and get to fish every day in it?
Yep.
Okay. Or you get to live the flip-flops and shorts life, but you only get to fish once a week.
I feel like suit and tie must suck up like British fly fishermen. Like,
Oh, okay. So you're saying that could be a thing.
nah, I think some of the guys are.
But I'm not talking I'm not
Give those guys a bad name.
like the tweed and little sporting cap. I'm talking about suit and tie. Armani. Armani. Get me Armani.
I'm going to buy a Titan 10.5 with that Armani suit money.
This is a tough one, I think.
Man, I got to fish more, but if I could wear flip-flops all year, I would.
I kind of do.
Yeah. I would wear them at work, but I'm a closed-toed shoe policy guy.
Yeah. You would
Drop a
literally-
hammer on your foot, it's going to hurt. I'll still go to flip-flop shoes or flip-flops shorts.
I kind of think I would too.
It's a little more relaxing.
I think I would too.
Yeah.
I think I would actually like suffocate having to wear a suit and tie. I did that for a long time when I worked on the hill. I did that for a long time, wearing the suit and tie every day, and it got to be such a drag. I haven't put a tie on since my daughter got married. I don't think. No, I think
I haven't had a job where I needed that.
Yeah, I for 10 years. I did the suit and tie thing every day. So, I think we're in the same camp. It would suck to only get to fish once a week, but a lot of people, that's a lot of fishing, right? Right. So flip flops.
You wear flip-flops and shorts all the time and fish every day.
That's true. That is my suit. That is my suit of clothes.
What about my birthday suit?
I haven't done any voices on this one. Okay, Joey, are you ready to shut this thing down? This was a long episode. Thank you,
Yeah.
everybody. P-Dog
We still
Killa.
have 9 people watching.
P-Dog Killa, you got your wish this week. He said he liked the longer format podcast for all the driving he has to do.
Yeah.
And it's partly his fault because we went off on the...
Yeah.
That was a great segment, though. I really appreciated that question
Yeah.
and all the efforts that he put in with the spreadsheet.
We talked like all different sections tonight.
Yes, we did. This is probably one of our
a little
best.
bit of everything. Yeah,
I think, Joey, this may very well be one of our.
I
best
think it's our
programs.
best fishing one.
Could be.
Yeah,
I think it could be.
And I didn't even read the show notes.
Anything for yak anglers?
Yeah, I've been dormant. No. Congratulations to Chris who bought a new kayak.
Mm-hmm.
He posted on the Yak Anglers. I got to post with it.
Added him to the
I'll
group.
have to get some pictures with him. Oh yeah, Sean, I did just open that tonight. I'm really bad about checking my Facebook Messenger and my phone and any contact device. What does it say? I think we talked about the Bonafides in our store. They're really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone should check out Das Boat on YouTube if they're looking for my weekly YouTube recommendations.
Das Boat.
Das Boat.
Okay.
The guy that has this show called Man Eater or something on Netflix does this. Basically, they went out and they bought a really crappy old aluminum John boat. And they started out with this guy, JT Van Zant, that I'm in love with, who's a guide down in La Madre or down in Texas. He's a redfish guide. And he hosts the Yeti podcast. But they start with him, and basically they're fishing this like old crappy boat. And they're allowed to do one day of modification to this boat, and then they go out and fish. And they give it to their next person. And it's really cool. And like, so JT gives it to this guy, Alvin. Alvin is a guide on a river down in Texas. And he takes out this guy who's a cook in Austin. And like they mount like a coal or like a coal grill on it, and they cook and gar on the side. Like, it's really cool. And they go all the way to like this bass dude who and then a girl, what's her name, out in Lake Okeechobee, and they both never fish Okeechobee with it. It's really cool, and they're like 25-minute. It's like a full show.
Okay.
Oh, April Vokey, I love her.
Okay. Das
Boat.
Das DAS.
And I think they released a new season on YouTube.
Boat on YouTube.
It is awesome to watch.
You heard it here.
If you want to fit, it's not a. I know we talk a lot of kayak. It's just really cool.
Have I told you that I have a little 16-foot bass tracker project boat for the winter?
Is it aluminum like V-hull?
Nah, not V-hull flat.
Actually, this is a little bit bigger. My dad has one. We've never actually put in the water. It's probably got some leaks. Is a boat like that, and they just kind of they go down to like St. Augustine or something, and these dudes are out fishing snook and redfish, and it's cool. It's worth a watch because
I'll find it and put a link in the show notes.
They take these guys who got the best of the best boats, and they give them this thing to use for a day. Like I said, JT is my favorite one, and he does a really good redfish episode with it. I also have a thing with redfish, but all of them, the Lake Okeechobee one is really good because they get stuck out in some bad weather with it. So basically, they do put a nice motor on it, but otherwise they leave it, just the motor for reliability.
Cool.
It's cool. Check it out.
Das Boat on
Das Boat.
YouTube. I will find it and put a link in the show notes. Although I say I'm going to do that a lot, and then sometimes I just don't ever do it.
Also, the World Series is on right now, so watch that too.
Yep. I got a lot of work to do when I get home, too. I still have to edit everything and put it all together. And
I'm still going through a wedding marital thing I shot this weekend. It's
Folks, if you're looking to get a hold of us, facebook.com/Angler Magazine Chesapeake. We put all sorts of fun and cool stuff on the Facebook. And every once in a while, the Russians try to hack it, and they put up carp pictures, and we just promptly take them down because, that's the way it is. Instagram at Chesapeake Angler. You can find me at BN Range. Joey, how can they find you?
At Joey Sikorsky24 on the gram. I've actually taken a couple phone calls about kayaks at the store.
Cool.
Pack Paddles, Patuxent Adventure Center.
Cool.
You can come by there.
That's the way it works.
You'd be like Charles and just come in.
That's the way it works.
Did
Charles come in?
Well, Charles came in and bought a kayak.
I didn't know.
Oh, Chris, not Charles.
I was like, Charles is down here.
Chris,
and he didn't.
Like I said, I didn't even know Chris listened to podcasts or anything. Chris came in when I was gone, bought a boat, and he's like, "Yeah, Joey's talking about a podcast." And And just like, yeah, Joey's selling stuff without even being here.
Back over to the live stream real quick. Your dad said, good show. Thank you, Paul.
4.5 hours.
Billy Jones missed a show again. Sorry, Billy.
Let's see. Yeah.
4.5 hours left.
I will go 4.5 hours.
Pesca. And David Hall says, great show, guys. Thank you very much. We really appreciate all the feedback. Hey, one of the things that you can do for us, if you would like to support the program over here, is share the YouTube channel. Try to get some folks to subscribe. That would help us out a lot. And maybe go over, because we do release this as an audio podcast that you can listen to in your traveling vehicle and headset. You could give us a review on iTunes and maybe give us a 5-star rating. Nothing less, please, than thank you. And on that note, Joey, youtube.com/Chesapeake Angler. Of course, they're watching here. And, of course, you can read the e-magazine online at ChesapeakeAnglerMag.com. November issue is sent to the printer. And
I feel like every episode we're talking about the next issue.
I know. It's the way it works. So we are going to shut this thing down. Until next week, y'all. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye. An hour and a half.
Thank you, live streamers, for listening. Thank you, David Pesca, William, Paul, Sean, Charles, Jerry, Jay. Who else? I know there's been other people in here. Russell, Justin, Russell again. Yeah, you guys are absolutely the best. Thank you so very much.
What's Rhino?
Yeah, Darren. Yep. Thank you, Darren. Missed you there. Thank you so much for listening to the program. We are going to shut this thing down.
Darren is Karen.